Why, hello, hello, and welcome back to Gemini Shit with a side of coffee, where we talk the real shit you're usually thinking about while holding a cup of coffee and pretending you're fine. Happy New Year's to you guys. This is the first episode of 2026. I am Andrea, and today's episode is for anyone who feels like confidence only shows up after the hustle, after the grind, after the validation, because we've been taught that feeling good has to be earned through chaos. I even feel like that's with posting social media or pictures or getting that job promotion. You have to hustle and bustle. And I want to talk about something different today. So I was listening to a podcast and she was explaining the term hustle magic. And I started diving deep into hustle magic and sitting meditating, trying to get some clarity on this so that I could bring it to light for you. And it's not the kind of magic that avoids work, but the kind that lets you move through your day without needing to bleed for it. This episode is about fear of judgment, tuning out the noise, and learning how to use small, everyday magic to feel grounded and confident, even on a random Tuesday. No spells, no pretending, just pure intention, clarity, and self trust. So, let's first talk about what hustle magic actually means because hustle magic could mean a lot of different things. I know for some of you, you're like, I don't do magic. It's not actual magic, it's using intention, awareness, and small ritualized actions to support your nervous system. It brings confidence without needing the chaos, overwork, or external validation for you to feel worthy. It's not grinding till you burn out. It's not providing for yourself. It's not waiting for success to feel confident, which I feel like a lot of us, that is key right there. But hustle magic is more choosing how you show up energetically, regulating your body before you take any type of action and creating meaning in small moments. Being present. I can't talk enough about being present. And this is powerful because it directly supports the fear of judgment, and a lot of us suffer from the fear of judgment where we feel like we have to be a certain way for people. And hustle magic is not the kind of magic that avoids work, but it's the kind that lets you move through your day without needing to bleed for it. And I said that before, but in this episode, like, I just want to talk about, the invisible crowd and how, like, the hustle magic and the invisible crowd go hand in hand because the invisible crowd is the people that we sit back and we imagine are watching us, the people that we think are judging us, talking about us. This could be coworkers, family, people that don't even check in on you, but somehow still get to vote on your day to day life. They still get to build your confidence or break your confidence. And because the truth is, most of the judgment that you're afraid of hasn't even really happened, right? So, like, we get the fear of, I don't want to put in that application because I probably won't get the job because I don't have the skills. I don't want to post this picture because my family's going to judge me or people are going to think I'm crazy. The judgment is so bold. And the hustle culture feeds on this, especially if you live in California. I always say California is the rat race of life where you're constantly trying to prove yourself, you're constantly trying to one up somebody, and there's a constant culture feed, right? Um, but you, through this, are prejudging yourself. You're prejudging yourself to rejection. You're prejudging yourself to silence who you are. And you're doing this before anybody else even judges you. And it feels like if you just do more or prove more or succeed more, then you're going to be okay, right? A lot of us feel like we have to prove ourselves. In order to be a somebody, we have to be more successful. But hustle magic says your worth doesn't require exhaustion. Hustle magic starts when you decide my energy does not belong to people who aren't even in my room. That is not avoidance. That's power. Fear comes from the moon energy and cycles, and it reflects your nervous system. The fear of judgment lives in our nervous system. Hustle magic isn't forcing confidence, it's calming your body enough to let confidence even exist. So it's being super grounded, it's putting your feet flat on the ground, it's taking a slow breath before doing something that is going to boost your confidence. It's touching something solid, being present. It tells your body that you're safe. Confidence grows when safety exists. And if you think about that, when you are safe and secure, that's when we feel like we could accomplish the most, right? Like, you know, the fear of judgment doesn't live in logic, it lives in the body, right? So our mind is telling us, be fearful because I'm going to be judged. It's old memories, right? If maybe you had an insecure boyfriend, wife, family member, those old memories and those old stories begin to resurface when you go to post something that had a negative effect. There could have been times that you were misunderstood or dismissed. So then again, we bring in that fear and that lack of confidence. And here's where hustle magic comes in. Instead of forcing confidence, you have to regulate first. You have to get your mind set, your energy, your soul to be grounded. Once you're grounded, the imagination of even like doing a simple meditation prior to ground you, um, because confidence can't exist if your body is dysregulated, right? So if your body is off, the confidence isn't going to build. You're just going to feel like shit. You're not going to want to do anything. You're not going to want to post. You're not going to want to make that move. You're not going to want to make that big decision. And so many of you come to me with, like, I don't know what to do in this scenario. I don't know what to do in this situation. Tell me what the situation is going to look like. What is the outcome? And sometimes our bodies are just off balance, right? And this is where a lot of times I resort back to, like, you need to get grounded. Get grounded first. But basic hustle magic moments show up when you post, when you speak, when you put your feet flat on the ground, when you take a deep breath, when you touch something that is going to ground you in the moment. Once you do this over and over, the confidence starts to build because your energy is not silly, not lost and confused, but it's grounded. So you're basically telling your nervous system, I'm safe enough to be seen. That is the hustle magic. Telling yourself and your nervous system that you are safe to be seen to the world. Let's talk really quickly about the nervous system for a minute, because this is where the hustle magic actually lives. Most people think that they're afraid of judgment, but what they're really afraid of is how judgment makes your body feel. Your your chest is tight, you have anxiety, you have racing thoughts, and you have the urge to hide or delete. Or you're like, oh my God, wait, that's not weakness. That's just your nervous system doing its job. And your body doesn't know the difference between posting a thought online and being rejected in real life. It just knows exposure. And the hustle culture teaches us to override that and use the response of push through it, ignore it, grind past it. But hustle magic tells us regulate first and then act. Our nervous system is wired for survival, not success. So when you speak about something, when you post something, when you show up authentically, you tend to ask yourself, will this cost me anything? Right? That fear isn't logical, it's ancient. And when our nervous system is off track, we procrastinate, we over edit, we second guess, we shrink ourselves for no reason. You don't need more discipline. You don't need more safety cues. Safety cues are tiny signals that tell our nervous system, I'm okay to stay present. And taking a deep breath before you do something big that's going to get you out of your bubble or your shell, putting your feet on the ground and lowering your shoulders intentionally and speaking your truth in your mind is going to give you that I'm out of danger. I don't need to hide confidence. And I feel like this new year, this is going to be huge for a lot of you. This is going to be a huge transition, a huge goal. And I want for some of you that feel like you have to hide in this bubble um, because of judgment, I want that to be a New Year's resolution to help yourself use this hustle magic to get out of that bubble or that, you know, depression, that insecurity. Use this as a tool to get you out of that cycle. Let's talk about where things shift, right? You have to own your energy like the Queen of Swords, where she doesn't argue, she decides whose opinion truly matters. And not every comment deserves a response, and not every opinion deserves access. But setting boundaries for yourself, like the Queen of Swords in a tarot deck, is logging off instead of overthinking. It's blocking instead of explaining, and it's muting instead of spiraling down the rabbit hole. That is how we look at the boundaries of magic, where you don't owe clarity to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't need anybody's approval. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters, and the filters protect your energy so you could keep creating, so you could keep uplifting, so you could keep connecting yourself with who you truly are. So, we're in a new year, 2026, and it's funny because every January the noise gets louder, right? We do more, we wake up earlier, we fix things, we become someone new overnight. From 2025 to 2026 at midnight, it's like I have this New Year's resolution, new version of me, new energy, new motivation. And for a lot of people, that energy feels motivating. And then 2 weeks later, we drift off because your nervous system crashes. This isn't about becoming a new person, but it's about choosing a new rhythm of life. Because the way you move through normal days matters more than a big goal. So let's start with mornings, right? You don't need a perfect routine. You need regulation before your phone, before the chaos, before the to do list. A small moment of choice, like a basic morning hustle magic, looks like taking a deep breath, having the thought of, I don't need to rush to be worthy. And I feel like we have to constantly be telling ourselves, today doesn't need to be a fight. And hustling and being in the just of the rat race isn't about disappearing into a quiet room. It's it's real life for a lot of us. It's carpool lanes, it's traffic, it's work stress, it's meetings, it's errands, it's lots of noise. Slow down. When your body starts to feel regulated, those micro moments to reset your nervous system, you spiral less. You don't want to be involved in the rat race. And I know that, I would always hear growing up, if I'm not stressed, I'm not trying hard enough. And That's not real. That's not true. Calm is productive. Taking breaks before the burnout, it forces us to make decisions from clarity and not panic and not in moments, right? Um, you could still work hard. You just have to stop working in fear. And social media is a big, big fear, right? Like a lot of us, we have to perceive ourselves a certain way on social media, or we perceive ourselves. Look at it like this, right? The way you are at home with your family is typically not the way you are with your employer, your employees, your people at work, right? You kind of like don't want them to see, you know, your insecurities or your ways, or maybe you're lazy a little bit. Maybe you like to lounge, but at work you're like, oh, I love to do, go hiking, go here, go there. Um, and you aren't, I feel like that's just how we are to perceive ourselves, right? Where the judgment comes back to play, and spirit, source, your higher powers, a lot of you that come in looking for um, readings, we need that clarity, we need that regulation, we need that safety reassurance to let us know I'm okay, which is all, fine and dandy, but you have to experience and look at life in a different perspective this year. This is the year where you're not burning yourself out. You're not feeling like you have to prove yourself. You decide to move in a different version of yourself. And I want you to choose that today. I want you to choose setting boundaries. I want you to choose blocking having to explain things to people. I want you to own what you're committed to doing and feel the confidence. Come out of that bubble or that um, portion of life where you feel like you have to prove yourself. This year, I want all of us to have the bad bitch energy that Gemini to 11 has always been about, is bad bitch energy. And I want every single one of you that are listening to this podcast to go comment on this post. If you've been watching this or listening through this all the way through, go post, show this, send this to somebody, and post bad bitch energy. Claim that. Be ready to make those changes. Be ready to simplify life. Be ready to not have to be accepted by the world, but to be accepted by yourself as an individual. Because at the end of the day, it's not about everybody else around you, but it's about your commitment to yourself. I truly want 2026 and this new version of you to look at this journey or this year in the lens of tarot and hustle magic, and using this as a practical decision making and nervous system tool to be so powerful. Use it as a tool, not a crutch. I'm going to be using a lot of tarot this year, but as a tool. It's not so much about predictions, it's more about perspective. And utilize tarot not so much to give you predictions about what's going to happen in the future, but asking tarot, how do I move through this? What's going to happen to me? What does the big shift look like? What is my nervous system holding on to? You're in a season where tarot doesn't have to give you direct answers, but use it as a language, right? As I'm getting into this new season, let me go get a tarot reading and see what I need to know. What energy do I need to adjust? What do I need to have more clarity on? What part of me needs attention today? Uh, I want this to be self awareness, not an escape, because tarot can be used as a guided tool to help you level up, to help you realize, to help you see, you know, what the universe can do for you, what your angels guides want you to do, or the direction or path or idea that you need to take. Um, but utilizing a pause session, using a idea of setting boundaries for yourself, and using tarot this year to build the confidence. I don't want you to think that, a lot of times people ask me, like, how often should I do tarot readings? I always say, you choose that. Don't let tarot decide for you because you need to choose when your body starts to feel off, when ideas start to feel shaky, quivery, unconfident, right? When you need that little extra guided help to maybe ground yourself, to let you see the difference between empowerment and being dependent. But I want you to maybe even commit to yourself to doing a monthly tarot reading to get your energy, to get the ideas, to get messages from your spirit team so that you can be guided through this year to help you build the confidence that we are put here to. I kind of just feel like this is like the confident year that you need to push yourself out of so that others around you, you could be that kind of like that image, I want to say, for people. And I definitely feel like you don't have to be all about, doing candle magic and doing rituals. But today, I want the biggest message from this is if you could take anything from any of this, I want you today to make a commitment to yourself that you could look at yourself in the mirror and say, today I move without needing approval. And know that magic is in your words. And it doesn't have to be dramatic, but it has to be consistent. When fear shows up, remind yourself this is fear, not my intuition. Make the hustle magic simple, make it an everyday ritual. You don't need candles. You don't need tarot cards. You don't need a psychic. You just need yourself. So here's what I want you to remember. You don't need the burnout to feel worthy. You don't need chaos to even feel alive. You don't need permission to be seen. Hustle magic is choosing yourself even on a boring day. When you tune out the noise, you hear yourself. And when you hear yourself clearly, that's when you start to win. If this episode resonated with you, I want you to share it, tag me, message me, because I love to be a part of all of your tea. I love to help guide you guys, and I love to share all of my knowledge with every single one of you. You don't need to outrun yourself this year. You don't need to hustle harder to feel worthy, and you don't need permission to feel confident. This year is about choosing alignment over anxiety, using tarot as a mirror, not as a rule. Use hustle magic as a grounding tool, not a grind, and your nervous system as a guide. Stop asking if you're allowed, stop waiting for certainty, and stop shrinking to stay comfortable. Calm is power, alignment is strategy, and confidence is something you embody, not explain. You were never meant to grind yourself into alignment. You were meant to trust yourself into it. Until next time, I am Andrea. This is Gemini Shit with the side of coffee. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms, TikTok and Instagram, Gemini 211. Private bookings and appointments are Gemini211.com. Love you guys. If you enjoyed this, please comment and please share.